Story 1. Update. My husband refused to answer my calls while I was in labor and my brother played a horrible prank. Now my husband is furious I won't cut him off. My husband and I got in a fight prior to my daughter's birth a week ago, when he casually suggested a paternity test for our daughter when she was born. To be clear, this was completely out of the blue with no wanting or reason. I'm a homebody who works remotely with no male friends other than my brother. I told him that he was accusing me of infidelity and he said he just wanted to be sure, and kept bringing it up until I told him, after 3 days of him asking and the stress starting to make me physically ill, that I didn't want to talk to him and left to my brother's house. I called him while I was gone and tried to work it out but he refused. After all this I went home the next day to grab some things while he was at work, and I went into labor. I called him 16 times. Before calling my brother who called him another half a dozen times himself while on the way to pick me up and then on the way to the hospital. It was a horrible and traumatic birth. I started crowning in the car and the doctor delivered my daughter in the back of my brother's van because I was too far along to move me, before rushing me in when I kept bleeding. It was horrible. I hated it all. My brother's wife who is a nurse even told me she honestly thought I wouldn't make it. I also opted for a hysterectomy as it came to that or something more dangerous. I only ever wanted one or none but my husband wants a large family. I'm trying to bond with my daughter but it's been hard. The point is that during this while I was returning from surgery, 10 hours after I called, my husband finally responded and asked why I hadn't answered his call. However, my brother had my phone and was so angry that he said, "This is, Ops brother, I'm at the hospital. She didn't make it." And turned it off. My husband rushed over and got there when I had just woken up and started shouting until the security forced him out. And then didn't get to see our daughter until the next day because I was mostly asleep and apparently they needed my signature to allow him back. My still thinks it was horribly cruel but that he deserved it. But my brother stands by his prank, and says that he only gave my husband 10 minutes of the same fear he had felt at my side for 10+ hours. Whenever he sees my husband he also keeps telling him that I nearly died because we waited for him. My brother used to be mostly indifferent to my husband, but now he absolutely hates him. You can see it in his face whenever my husband enters the room. And he's been visiting a lot because he doesn't trust my husband to care for me while I'm still healing. My husband is furious that he won't apologize and that I won't make him, and yelled at me when I said that the only reason my brother had my phone was because he wasn't there. I am trying to be empathetic. I know he feels guilty. I've spoken to my therapist and she says the apathy I'm feeling is likely general and not solely focus on him from lingering shock from the trauma. But didn't say much about the prank. My MIL has been texting me to say that my family is horribly cruel for the prank and that I should go no contact with my brother, and now my husband is saying the same. I just don't know what to do. I'm not in a good headspace. It's been hard to be in the same room with my husband and I've been sleeping in the guest room with my daughter. He brought up the paternity once and I just exhaustedly told him to either get out of my face or go stay with his mom if he's planning on stressing me out even more. I really don't feel myself, and yes, I am taking the likelihood of PPD seriously and my therapist who has suggested that it may be PTSD too. However, I just want more opinions because I just don't know. Update. I can't update the old post, but since so many people reached out I thought I'd make a new one. So, I don't think this will be something we can come back from. I just don't think I'll be able to heal with him, because there is no way he didn't know it was me calling. And he still hasn't told me why he didn't answer. I know I thought I wouldn't decide right away, but I actually don't want to forget how terrible it was waiting on him, thinking he couldn't possibly leave me like that no matter how angry he was. I took the time to think of that moment before it all went down, and just how grossly betrayed and scared and alone I felt while the contractions were hitting and I was on my knees trying to breathe through the pain while waiting on the phone while it rang though. And I just don't think there's any coming back for that. I wouldn't want my daughter think it's okay to stay with a man who destroyed her trust that way either. I will be contacting an attorney, and will be meeting with them in the coming weeks. We had a prenup so it hopefully won't be too hellish, I hope. I feel like this situation became even clearer when my friend asked me if I'd still trust him as the one to sign off on my medical papers, and the reaction to that idea was visceral. I wouldn't, and I want him to get off that legality as soon as possible. In fact, there are roommates I had in college would trusted more. I would have never ignored so many calls from him consecutively unless I had told him expressly that I was unavailable at a specific time, and even then. I feel good with my brother and Sil here with me, especially so with her being a nurse and having been there through the birth. It's really helped us bond in a way that we'd never really had time to. I've also finally told my old friends about the baby, and they are alternating to come and help me out for the next little while. None of this even touched the paternity test, but I'll get it for the proceedings, I guess. So I guess he'll get what he wanted. Anyway, I'm safe and well. And my daughter is healthy and happy as a peach and pretty much an angel who is happy to sleep peacefully anywhere and took to the boob with ease, which is such a blessing since everything still hurts. Just making this decision has taken an odd weight off my shoulders, and my SIL has been really helping us bond. Anyway, thank you for letting me write this out. I'm not good at diaries or journals, but writing to people feels different, and it's actually brilliant for the clarity of the situation. Even my therapist said that I seemed clearer and calmer. I might try a diary again as she suggested. Story 2. My husband is berating me for not defending him on our wedding day. My husband is berating me for not defending him on our wedding day. I, 26F, am now considering divorcing my husband, 26M, over this catastrophe because he and his groomsmen decided to prank me. For background, we have been dating since I joined my nursing career 3 years ago. He was related to a patient and my husband wanted to get drinks with me. We hit it off, but now I'm here, crying in my dressing gown. My brother is a baker. He's quite popular around town for how good his cakes are, and as his little sister he decided to bake me and my husband a wedding cake for free. Even though his wife just gave birth to triplets, he still chose to bake us a beautiful wedding cake. So we will call this Brother B. And then my other brother is an event planner, and since he is also paid wealthy, he decided to cut slack and charge me far less. Since he quotes, "I know you the most, don't worry." My brother took the reins on my wedding day and made sure it went well and made it like I was a queen. I'll call my oldest brother P. First red flag of the day, while standing at the altar he looks like he's high as he's slouching on the priest. I could almost hear my mum rolling in the grave. Second was when he kept complaining to P about how the flowers looked hideous and that he's disgraceful. I remind my husband that he should be thankful that P listened to our wishes and that he tried to make our wedding as nice as possible. My husband just rolled his eyes and went off to get drunk. I'm sitting there annoyed, but I'm like, he's probably scared I'll give him time. He doesn't though. He does at the cake though. That has me thinking he's easing up. So when the groomsmen go behind us, I thought we were getting our pictures taken. So that also made me think my bridesmaids are behind me. Nope. The minute my dear old dad tries to take him phone out for a photo, I'm grabbed by shoulders by the guys, and am slammed onto the cake. My head goes through the cake like butter. My dress and face are now covered and I now want to hide and cry. Hellfire kicks loose. P, Dad, my bodybuilder bridesmaid, my Uncle H and G, my Nan. Start kicking out the groomsmen while I'm crying and holding on to Baker as my husband is yelling at me. Most of my husband's side start laughing at the whole thing, and never have I been more traumatized in my life. After I got myself cleaned up in the toilet, I went into my wedding to see my husband wrecking the decor, and mine and his family are now screaming Otto any another. I hated that day, but I'm glad my family and friends stuck up for me. I don't feel guilty about what happened on our special day, but my husband is trying to ban me from seeing my brothers and dad, and that if I try and see them I'm an abusive woman. Because apparently I was terrible at our wedding. It made the day all about me, even though P asked him for his input into the wedding and my husband just shrugged. I'm in desperate need of advice if I should even try and reconcile a relationship with him. I'm 75% leaving him. I just have a lot of doubt and am embarrassed that my marriage is ending before it began, but if anyone could please put their input in the comments if I should stay with him or sack him off. Thank you for giving me your time.